G'day guys, and that box, it's just too big on the bench, isn't it? Give us a moment. This is the CF002G 330mm or 13-inch Jobsite fan. This tool did not come out a moment too soon because it is stinking hot here at the moment, and so having this and the 18-volt fan both going has been quite nice while working outside, and even here in the garage in the afternoon it's getting too hot now, and so just having this blowing, keeping a bit of airflow going through is very nice, especially when you've got the doors closed to make a YouTube video, for instance. It fits all the current Makita 40v batteries, and it should fit the future ones too, because the way that they've been making these batteries is they extend them out the front. So the distance through here is the same, and as you see, as the batteries go up in amp hour, they go out in size from the front only. So presumably the 8 amp hour, which I haven't quite got yet, will come out from the front and be a bit deeper, because they of course get deeper as well. This is a 2.5, the 2s are exactly the same size, a 4 and a 5. 8 amp hour will be with me shortly. Now I'm going to go and test this fan, running it with the 5 amp hour battery fully charged, and we're going to see how long it runs for. It's going to be quite a while, I would have thought, on that battery. I hope it's a lot longer than the 18-volt one lasts. The 18-volt one doesn't seem to last very long at all. You go through multiple batteries pretty damn quick. I had someone here a few days ago, and we were in the garage yakking and having a few drinks, and we went through 3 batteries, I do believe, on the 18-volt fan in the course of, I don't know how long, 5 hours, something like that. So much extended runtime is something I'm looking forward to with this fan. So let's set that going now. 18-volt LXT fan, XGT 40-volt fan, they both have a 5 amp hour battery. 5 amp hour freshly charged 18-volt, 5 amp hour freshly charged 40-volt. How long will they last? I'm going to turn them both on at the same time. I'm out here working at the moment, digging a retaining wall. It is stinking hot, stinking humid, so a couple of fans going is going to be nice. I will set them on their full speed and on the oscillation mode, and we'll see which one lasts the longest. I'll set a timer. I'll tell you how long each one goes for. So let's have a look at the control panel, the features of this thing. Power on. 3 speeds. The highest being around 240 meters of airflow per minute. And that's 21 cubic meters of air going through this thing. Got oscillating function. And we also have a timer for 1, 2, and 4 hours. Let's turn it off so that it's not affecting the sound on the camera anymore. As well as oscillating from side to side, you can tilt it down that far, and if you wish you can blow straight up. Doing it like that's probably a good test on how much airflow there actually is. See if we can keep something suspended with it. Maybe that'll occur in the video. Don't hold your breath or anything. It has a mounting area here so that you can put it on a tripod just like you would a light, such as this one, the new ML003. Has the same attachment area. So if you wanted, you could have a tripod with a light on one side and a fan on the other side. We'll look at the light in another video. As well as being powered by the 40-volt batteries, you can also plug in an adapter here, which it comes with, and run it off AC power. So how does it compare to the old 18-volt version? Well, the old 18-volt one to me has a more rugged design. It has a steel grille, unlike the 40-volt, which is all plastic. This one has all the same features: power, oscillating, the 3 different speeds, and the 3 different time settings. I never use the timer settings because if it's on a battery, it often conks out before the time. 4 hours on this? Well, that's only any good if you've got it running on the power supply, really, because on a battery you're going to go through it pretty damn fast, quicker than 4 hours. Now the official specs for this one are a little bit lower than the 40-volt, which you would expect, but not much. 220 meters per minute maximum wind speed. I kind of want to query that though, because to me it seems like this throws out a lot more air than the 40-volt one does. I know, settle down. But it may just be that it throws out a lot more sound because it's so much noisier. We'll check that shortly, just how noisy this is compared to the 40-volt one. The 40-volt one is currently going right behind me right now. And I also used it in another video that you've possibly seen of this blower, which is, yeah, the greatest little blowy fanny thing that Makita make at the moment. And you guys seem to be happy with the sound, so that's good. And so I've got it running in the background now to keep me cool. I couldn't have this one running in the background. When I made my original video on this, a lot of people complained that it's just too noisy, and I have to agree, it is a very noisy beast. And it's okay when you're outside working and stuff, you don't really notice it, but you can't use it inside as a house fan or anything because it's just a bit too annoying. Whereas the 40 volt one just lightly going in the background here is much nicer. 40 volt one is now going full whack in the background, which you can no doubt hear. This one on full whack, however, it's totally different sound. Totally different. I'm glad that they realised or took note and modified the sound. All you're probably hearing is wind noise, I suppose. I'll try and test that with the decibel meter shortly, but just again then, with both of those going, it still feels like this one's throwing out more air than the 40 volt. Now there is a new version of this fan also that looks exactly like the 40 volt one and has the same specs as either this or the 40 volt one, depending on what you read. I haven't got the other new 18 volt one to test because I thought there's not much point in that. I've already got this one. So basically, if you want a new fan, you get the 18 or the 40. You're getting the same fan. It just runs on your preferred battery system. And I think the big bonus is going to be runtime. Speaking of runtime, let's go check in on that. After an hour and 15 minutes, the LXT 18 volt is still got 2 bars shown on the battery, and the 40 volt still has 4. This old 18 volt one, when you turn it on, it will always start in full blast. Put it down onto the lowest setting, turn it off, turn it back on, full blast again. Whereas the 40 volt, here on the lowest setting, turn it off, turn it back on, lowest setting. Move it up to setting 2, turn it off, turn it back on, stays at number 2. So this remembers the setting, this one doesn't. Oh, the noise is just so much better. Metal, plastic, metal, metal, plastic, plastic. They have basically the same overall height, but the fan is a bit lower on the new 40 volt. It's just the handle that sticks up on the top here. The handle is on the top, whereas it's kind of on the back of the 18 volt, which is somewhat annoying when you pick it up. It's a little bit twisty, and yeah, it's in slightly a weird place, and you graze your knuckles as you try and pick it up. I actually cut myself on this a few days ago. If you look at the fan design, the fan itself, the blades are much bigger on the 18 volt than it is on the new 40 volt. Is that why this one is much quieter than this one? I don't think so, actually. I think it's the bearings or something in this. This is just, there's something within it. No matter what speed you've got it on, it's noisy. Now the 18 volt has stopped. I'm not sure exactly how long it was because I went to get a drink and I was away for a few minutes, but we're looking at around an hour and 50 minutes. And flashing red light, she's well and truly dead. And the 40 volt, after 1 hour and 54 minutes, is still showing 4 bars. Wow. If you want longevity, this may be the fan for you. I'll put the fans blowing to the side and we'll see if we can pick the noise up. 18 volt. Lowest speed. Hear that? Oh, that sort of hum, just oh, motor hum. It's a bit annoying. Top speed. Second speed. And it goes in the opposite order to what the 40 volt one does. This one goes from 1 up to 3, then down to 2, down to 1. 40 volt goes 1, 2, 3. But listen, it's the lowest mode, noisy and rattly. It's always done that right from day dot. Whereas the 40 volt, in the lowest speed, you can hardly hear it. Second speed, starting to get a little noisy. Third speed, you got a bit of whack going through it now. but much quieter. It's just the sound of the blades, that sort of, you know, blades push an air sound that pretty hard to get rid of. But there's no motor sound like you get with that 18 volt one. Much improved. I've had to come inside, it's just too damn hot out there. So the fan here, the 40 volts, still going and still on 4 bars after over 3 hours. This thing is very economical on the battery life compared to the 18 volt, which was dead over an hour ago. I guess I'll just let it run down here for a bit while I go grab a drink and cool down and maybe review some other tools. Oh, that's nice. So the 3 boxes I want to tick off when replacing this with this is 1. Sound. Did they improve the sound? Check. Yes, they did. 2nd, did they improve the battery life? It looks that way, doesn't it? Definitely coming along very nicely out there. I'm back outside again and my wall is done and we're at 5:08, 5 hours so far, and the fan is still going strong. Oh, I've still got a couple of bars to go. This thing could conceivably keep you going all day. It might be 8 to 10 hours this thing runs on one battery. That's a huge improvement on my 18 volt one. And the sound is also a huge improvement. And 3rd, and definitely not last, is airflow. How much are these pumping out? Is this pumping out at least what that one did? Because I wanted at least the same amount of air coming out of this or more from a 40 volt, obviously. It gets to a point where you don't need too much more, I guess. You just start blowing shit over and stuff like that. But I was using both of these the other day to dry some waterproofing membrane that I was sticking on the back of the house on some concrete blocks. These concrete blocks you see right behind you here. And it was great for that. Well, I actually water blasted the wall and I mostly use these to dry the walls down again. And then I could put the waterproofing membrane on and then use these to speed up the drying process so I could get the 2nd coat on in the same day. So very handy for that. So you want a fair whack of airflow for that sort of thing. So how are we going to test the difference in airflow between these two? The way things are going, it might be dark before this thing even conks out. It is down to 1 bar, however. 7 hours 23 minutes. It's now after 6 o'clock at night. I set this going before 11 o'clock this morning. I am super impressed with the battery life on this fan. I'm now going to test the flow speed, and I will do that with both of them plugged in rather than running on battery power. I will be testing in meters per second as I don't have meters per minute. Somebody can work that out and put it down in the comments. How's that? Does putting them front to back like this make any difference? I don't know. Check out builds and stuff. Up in the top corner. I've got the tape measure there. I'm just going to move around the 1 meter mark and just see what we can get it up to. .8 seems to be the highest reading. So that's quite interesting. Similar in the top speed of this is doing 3.9, the 40 volt, and the 18 did 3.8. But this is far more even over the area of the blowing. Whereas the 18 volt was dropping down into the 2s, this is staying in the 3s, mostly hovering around the 3.6 mark. Down here at about the 3.5 meter away mark, I'm getting readings between 1.5 and 1.9. Got up to 2.1 at one point. It's almost like it's oscillating even though it's not. You can feel the air moving around a lot more than the 40 volt. It's not giving very good reading. 1.4 max. Overload. This thing obviously only goes up to about 45 kilometers an hour. This thing's pretty quick. Look at that, man. I think I could basically call it at this point. I mean, does it matter after 8 hours? I mean, that's a standard work day. That's going all day on the highest setting in the oscillation mode. what more could you want? Imagine how long an 8-hour battery is going to go. Wow. Do a couple of days. So is it worth upgrading from the old 18 volt to the new 40 volt, or is it worth buying the 40 volt over a cheap reduced to clear 18 volt one? Well, that's all going to be up to you. If you want long runtime, well, as you saw, no brainer, this thing smashes it. If you want less noise pollution, this is definitely the way to go. I've tried to test the decibels on them, and it's really tricky because the last few days it's been super windy. You can probably even hear it in the background of this video. And so I just can't get anywhere quiet enough that I can actually test it. It's fluctuating way too much. But on the top speeds they do run at around 66, 67 decibels, but I can't test the lower ones on this one. It's just too much background noise pollution. If you want air throwing the furthest distance, then the 40 volt's the way to go. The 18 volt, when you stand right in front of it, feels like it's throwing out more air than this thing does. You want to cool down real quick, you want to stand in front of it. The 18 volt throws out more air around the perimeter of the fan. This is a more even throw, so it feels a bit more because it's concentrated around the edge on the 18 volt one. But as you move away from the fan, this thing is better. At 3.5 meters, this was reading up to 2.1 kilometers an hour. The highest I could get it on the 18 volt was 1.4. This you could feel was just a constant stream. The other one was fluctuating a lot. It wasn't as controlled of an airflow. That'll be down to the blade design and the grill design. The grill on this one is in a sort of circular fashion, as you can see, which probably helps keep the air in the center blowing, whereas the grill on the other one breaks it up and fires it in more directions. So if you want directional flow, this one's better. If you want random flow, the old 18 volt. So for me, extended runtime, big bonus. The quietness for what I do, big bonus. The wind flow, you know, not a huge difference. But if you're starting from scratch, much quieter, much better runtime. I was just talking on the phone and it cut out. Look at the time. Holy moly. Let's call it 8.5 hours, round it down a few minutes. 8.5 hours on a 5 amp hour battery. That is pretty damn impressive. So you can go all day on the 1.5 amp hour battery if you so desire. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you on another one real soon. And if you want to just cool down, you can just get one of these and blow it straight in your own face. That's a good way to do it. Although if you do it for too long, it does get quite hot inside here, and so it starts blowing hot air. But yeah, blowing this in your face to cool down on a hot day, very, very handy. I'll put some links down in the description if I can find them to buy these things, and yeah, other reviews and all that stuff. Check it out, subscribe, yada yada. See you later. Oh, one more test.